Next week, WomenLift Health will host its annual conference focused on maintaining the success of women leaders in the health sector. The conference will see hundreds of women from the Southern African region meet to discuss ending discrimination through diversity, equity and inclusion policies in the workplace. We get the very latest from WomenLift Health Southern Africa Director Akhona Tshangela. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this morning. That in 2024, we're still gathering to discuss this should tell us what?
Well, thank you for having me, Dudu, and good morning to your viewers as well. Look, if you look at the current situation for gender equality in the workplace, generally, globally, really, we are in a very dire situation. And so it is no surprise that we are discussing this in 2024. At the current rate that we are at, it will take us at least 300 years to reach gender equality. And yes, we see advancements being made around increased awareness and discussions about the importance of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And we see more organizations that are implementing policies and programs to support gender diversity. However, there still are persistent gaps despite this progress where we see significant gaps in representation, particularly at the leadership role level. Women continue to be underrepresented at top leadership positions across various industries. If you look at the health sector, for example, which is why the conference is actually coming in the coming week, is that we see the largest disparities where although women represent 70% of the overall workforce, they still only hold 24% of these leadership roles. We're losing a huge amount of innovation. We're losing a huge amount of diverse voices being heard in those decision-making roles. If you look at the gender pay gap, for example, the gender pay gap remains a huge concern, with women earning less than their male counterparts for the same roles. Currently, women are paid globally 23% lower than male counterparts with the same capabilities, with the same qualification. This is even lower in low-income countries, low and middle-income countries, where they can get paid as much as 40 to 45% lower than their male counterparts. And there are many barriers, really, to advancements in terms of really having lack of access to high visibility projects, being able to not even get the right mentorship and sponsorships for various opportunities. And of course, there are those unconscious biases in promotion decisions. And these are very...
Akhona, if you could just allow me to join you, please. If it wasn't so tragic, it would be funny. When you speak of 300 years, it would take 300 years to sort of even get the playing field level, right? So are we not then trying to fit into a system that was never designed for people to fit into? What are some of the solutions that we are talking about in 2024?
Yeah. So, well, yes, we are trying to fit in a system that was never really designed for women to begin off with. We look at the networking. You have the old boys network, where you have our male counterparts being the ones to access the leadership roles for many years. And this is really due to lack of networking and mentorship for women who need to get into those positions in order to be able to support the economies and grow our GDPs across the world. And so really, in terms of what needs to be done, is to ensure that we can implement diversity and inclusion initiatives and develop and implement a robust diversity and inclusivity, which prioritizes gender equality, particularly focusing on women. We also need to provide women with the support that they need. They are at a disadvantage. They have other responsibilities besides their workplaces, ensuring that there is that work-life balance in order for them to still take on their family responsibilities, which is a reality for most women, while also being able to climb up the ladder in the leadership roles. And so that can be done by providing mentorship and sponsorship programs, offering leadership programs, as well as creating flexible working policies.
Okay. Akhona, just, it's election season, it would appear all around, not just in South Africa as well, but in a number of countries. And one of the politicians mentioned something to say that in South Africa, that women should actually be at home. They were attempting to emphasize the role of having positive male role models, which is supported. But in doing that as well, there was a talk of, well, women should sit at home and women should be homemakers. Those who want to fare and well and those who want to start their own businesses, what then or what kind of support is being offered to women who actually want to work?
Yeah, and these are the challenges we're talking about. These are cultural norms and societal norms that we hear when we are talking to our female leaders on the platform, where we told, oh, stay in the kitchen. What role do you have to stay in a leadership role? Why do you want that? But the plain of the fact of the matter is that really cultivating inclusivity can unlock new possibilities for economic growth and responsible production, not just for women, but across the world. Women economic empowerment is key for economic growth. There was a report that showed that companies with more gender-balanced workforces consistently outperform their other companies who lack this by 29% annually. It is incredibly important for anyone to invest in and implement the policies and practices that foster inclusive environments and respond to unique needs of women in the workplace. And so really, what really needs to be done is really having those clear policies and procedures that really prohibit gender discrimination and harassment in the workplace, ensuring that legal processes match that of our male counterparts. Right now, females are 40% less protected than their male counterparts when it comes to sexual harassment, when it comes to having discrimination, when it comes to having violence that limits them from actually or prohibits them from actually going into roles and going into work. And so a lot has to be done around that, really thinking through what can our policymakers do to really enhance and support what is needed for the overall economic growth for our population.
Akhona, this question usually invites pitchforks and fire sticks where people are protesting to say, do you find that, as we have conversations about women progressing in the workplace, are women supporting women? What conversations are being had by men with men as well? Because to end this, and you speak of 300 years, what are we doing?
So yes, one of the key things that WomenLift Health really promotes is male allyship, as well as having mentorship and coaching. So male allyship is really having these men have the same discussions in their own circles in terms of how do they support this kind of level of economic growth, because that's what we are talking about. It's not just about the women, it's about how do we support our overall population. And so male allyship really helps support, and usually these are senior leaders, men who are already sitting in senior leadership, really seeing how they can also transform their own institutions to really be able to provide the right training and also be able to ensure that people have the right knowledge in terms of understanding what diversity inclusion really means. And so this is the role of how men can support the women in these leadership roles in terms of really providing the right training, not just for women, for all our male counterparts, and really highlighting the importance of having this gender equality. For women, really, I think we have been at a disadvantage in the sense that we have not been given the space to form the right networks that we need to develop in order for us to build each other up and understand each other's differences, while also seeing how we can build each other and grow as women to empower each other as well as to empower the population.